Hey, what's up, guys? Chris here, and I'm back with another episode of the podcast. Blast of Strangeness, episode 15. This would not be possible without all of you, my viewers and my subscribers. Just know that with you, this is all possible. Okay, so now let's get on into it. So we'll start the show now. This show is also being recorded in real time, but also remember before you hit that subscribe button, just be sure to read the disclaimer first. Also, be sure to like, share, comment, and subscribe, and hit that notification bell button. That way, so you'll be notified every time there's a new video. Now, to stop from that, so you read the title of the video, you're correct. I know that's unusual that the podcast is actually on right now. Very hard to believe, I know. Let's change that. So, tonight's episode, bad teacher figure. So, now see, when I was in high school, about 9th grade or so, this teacher, who was my high school teacher, figure person, she decided one day that to have us do this assignment thing. She handed us this piece of paper looking weird thing about something about if you ever owned a home someday or whatever, what exactly would you want it to be like, or would it be your dream home? I said, okay, interesting. Or dream home. Okay. All right, that's fine. So, I chose to put something very simple, I put, what was it I put? I put, I would someday, to dream to where, like, I end up living in a double-wide trailer with 4 bedrooms, 2 bathrooms, and to have the structure engineered to have an indoor pool within the structure inside the home somewhere. And that's all I wanted. That's actually all I wanted. Now, the reality, it didn't actually happen that way of what I did actually end up with. What I did end up with was a double-wide trailer with 4 bedrooms and 2 bathrooms. And the structure was not engineered to have an indoor pool, unfortunately, as much as I would like for that to happen. So I had filled that out on the assignment paper that she handed us. She just looked at me like a complete moron. Oh, yeah. And here, I remember exactly what she said to me, exactly. She was just like, okay, well, first of all, why are you keeping it simple instead of dreaming big? I said, well, you know what? It don't matter why I'm keeping it simple. Yes, I dreamed a little big. I'm not going to go all extravagant like you're expecting. Yeah, so she thought, welcome to the podcast. So she actually thought that I was going to go all extravagant with dreaming a little small. Why? Because I wanted a double-wide trailer with 4 bedrooms, 2 bathrooms, and to have the structure engineered to actually have an indoor pool. She had a problem with that. Now, in reality, did I actually end up getting an indoor pool inside the double-wide trailer? Nope. Now, the thing of it is, though, she actually seems to think that I did, which I do not know why that she actually thought that. All I had said in the simple assignment was, I want to dream a little big, but I also want to keep it very simple. And if I was going to spend the money to make that dream a reality, I would spend the money to have the structure engineered to have an indoor pool. like I had wanted. And, I do not see what was wrong with that when I put that at the time. Oh, no. She literally couldn't wait to sit there and literally have an issue with it. I do not know half of what was actually wrong with her. To be honest with you, I honestly think that she had a lot of things wrong with her, to be honest with you. I do not know to this day what was wrong with her whatsoever. So, then, eventually, so she just looked at me and was like, this is what she said. Oh, well, you didn't understand the assignment, and you missed the complete point of the assignment. And I'm just looking at her like, excuse me. No, I didn't. You handed me the damn thing. I filled it out, put what I put, and that's that. Oh, no, she didn't like that. I was just like, wow, whatever, lady. But yet, you know what? And here she's qualified to actually be a high school teacher. Oh, yeah. That's what I thought, too. I said, no, double, triple, no. But then again, I was just like, you know what? Whatever, lady. That's what I thought of her. Oh, just like the other time with another assignment that I did that she wanted us to do, that she literally had an issue with, and that supposedly I missed the complete point of that too, which I did not. Yeah, the one assignment to where she thought that I would never amount to anything. Whatever. I thought to myself, wow, you know what, lady? Be that way. Whatever. But yet, I do not know why she was always such a royal, you-know-what to me. So now, if anyone has any questions or anything, please feel free to email the podcast if you have a similar story or anything like that you would like to share. Just know that you can actually be on the podcast, or if you have a topic for the podcast you want me to talk about, please feel free to email the podcast and let me know. So now, a few small details with that. When you're on the podcast, I'm not going to charge you any fees to be on the podcast. It's completely free to be on the podcast. So if you're expecting to be on the podcast and expecting to get any money for it, just know I will not be paying you anything, unfortunately. So don't expect a payout from the podcast. And like I said, it won't cost you anything to be on it. It's completely free. Like I said, does anyone have any topics or anything that would fit the vibe of the podcast that they would like for me to talk about on here? If so, please email the podcast. You already know the email. It's in the description somewhere or down below. It's there. But that's the email for the podcast. So, yes, and this is episode 15. And this podcast is also being recorded in real time. Yeah, I know. I can't believe it either. I know, ain't that hard to believe? So anyway, this woman, this teacher, I mind you, she was the absolute worst. The worst. Yeah, like, I do not understand how she had the nerve to tell me that I missed the point of the assignment. Why? Just because I wasn't dreaming big? I was dreaming simple, and if I was going to spend a lot of money, that's what I would spend it on to do. She had a problem with that. And she was just looking at me like, well, that's not a reality. That's never going to happen. I said, okay, first of all, you don't know that. Second of all, I honestly think she hated me and never really cared for me, all because at the time I had lived in a single wide trailer. I honestly think at the time that's why she hated me. I really do. And yes, I had said that eventually someday I was going to stop living and move out of a single wide trailer and end up moving into a double wide trailer. She had an issue with that. Yeah, I know. That's what I thought was strange, like her constantly having an issue with that. So the picture you saw in the thumbnail, actually, a bad teacher. That's actually what she kind of looked like for real. So I'd say that's the perfect reference to her, if you ask me. It's just interesting how she looks like that a little bit in real life. So, anyway, yeah, I know this ain't the usual scheduled episode, but you know what? Sometimes, once in a while, this podcast will do an episode that's not scheduled. Now, this podcast is also a one-man show. It does get a guest from time to time on occasion, like the two silent guests, the guests that made an appearance. One was very silent. Well, they were both very silent, but the one that was silent was actually very blue. Yeah, I know. Very blue. Very blue and very silent. And then the other guest that was silent on the podcast was just very silent. So, now, does anyone have any questions or anything like that? If you do, just email your question into the podcast and I will look at it and read it. So then, she literally just hated me. And I said, I always thought to myself, why? Is it because I live in a trailer? Does that have something, does that have something to do with it? I honestly think with her, it did. I think she hated the fact that I actually lived in a trailer. So what? Not like it's a big deal. Oh no, it was a big deal to her. Yeah, well, of course it was a big deal to her. Everything was a big deal to her. And the funny thing is, you couldn't make her happy no matter what you did. Oh, yeah. She was one rough bitch to please. That's for sure. But yeah, I thought to myself, wow, whatever, lady. But then she wonders why. I mean, I don't know, like, to this day, she probably wonders why I never had no sympathy for her at the time when she had a little bit of a problem. That was an accident, I think. And you know what? If she was actually honestly watching this right now, look who has 500 and some 541 subscribers. And look who actually went somewhere in life. Me. That's right. I'm literally just living my dream. Living in a double wide trailer, a 4-bedroom, 2-bathroom. Yeah, well, the indoor pool ain't that part of my dream. I'm not living that part, but I'm living the rest of that part of my dream. That's all that counts. So, honestly, if she was watching this right now, I would love to see down in the comments or no, let me rephrase. I would love to see an email if she was watching this right now, exactly what she had to say about it. And that's right. Her tactics were horrible. Horrible. Yeah, her teaching tactics sucked. That's for sure. She barely taught anything. What she taught was all a bunch of useless garbage. She's just like her. Anyway, so she also had told me that one time during another assignment, something about how I'm never gonna amount to anything in life, all because of a stupid assignment that she made us do. She thought that low budget independent horror films were not a real reality. They are to a real reality. It just shows you, like, she did not believe in that. I looked at her at the time. I said, "Excuse me, teacher person, but let me correct you here a bit. One, some of the biggest names in movies, you idiot, started out by doing low budget independent horror films." Oh no, she didn't see it that way. I said, "Wow, whatever, lady." And then she's like, "Oh, well, you're never going to amount to nothing in life. You're never going to go anywhere." I was like, "Well, yeah, you know what? Whatever." I was like, I don't care what's going on in your life either. Oh, yeah. So I didn't have any sympathy for her at the time when she broke her leg. Oh, yeah. All because she was being horrible to another student. So something happened where she broke her leg. I said to a friend of mine at the time, I had said, to my friend, I said, "Hey, yo, friend." We'll refer to my friend as Poland. I had said to Poland, oh, shit. Hold on. Well, we ran into a problem. And why did we run into a problem? Okay. It looks like we ran into a slight problem there. Anyway, I apologize. We ran into a slight problem. So, anyway, like I was saying, so a friend of mine at the time, I said to my friend Poland at the time, I was like, "Hey, yo, Poland, how much you want to bet that this will be shortly lived, the slight break from our teacher for right now?" She looks at me and goes, "What do you mean?" I said, "Oh, watch, I guarantee she won't be out for very long with that broken leg." Oh, sure enough, I was right. Like always. Then again, I knew I'd end up being right, because I was always right about that. And sure enough, that's honestly exactly how it had happened. The way I said about that short break being shortly lived, it was. Yeah, 2 weeks away from her, it was about it. I was honestly kind of hoping it would have been like a lot longer. But no, of course it wasn't. Never was. I still do not know why we had a slight problem there with something here. Damn it. Everything's all plugged in. Damned if I know. I apologize for the technical glitch of what had happened. Damn. Have to see where things went wrong there. Oh, that may be why. No. What's wrong? All right. I think I know exactly what went wrong. Exactly what I thought. Mm-hmm. Okay, fucking really? God. You know, I swear, this damn thing not wanting to work, having an issue. There we go. There we go. Problem solved after all that. I apologize again, because apparently I know what went wrong. Of course, something always got to fucking go wrong on here. Story of my fucking life, to be honest with you. All right. So I figured out what had went wrong just now. Ay. Okay, so everything's all good. It's all fixed. Problem solved. Thank God that was a quick issue to maneuver around. So anyway. So apparently she was literally one of those people who always thought honestly, she thought that like she was better than everybody else. And I said to myself, You know, the funny thing is, if she was actually watching this podcast like right now, here's what I would say to her. I would say to her, you know what? I would like to see you try this for a while. You try living in a mobile home trailer. See if you can handle it. I honestly don't think she could with her type of high maintenance lifestyle, with her high status of friends, just her status overall. I don't think she could handle it, to be honest with you. I really don't. But so anyway, when the short break was over, the 2 weeks without her, oh, I hated it. When those 2 weeks were over, I said to myself, well, I knew that would be shortly lived. I said, oh, here we go. Sure enough, as I actually said it, it ended up happening just exactly how I said it. I also thought to myself, you know what? This is exactly what we get for going to school to deal with her. We honestly could not wait till summer vacation to get away from her ass. We were tired of her. Yeah, well, we ended up honestly being like that tired of her to where we never ended up going back after it was all done and over. I graduated. My friend at the time, Poland, she was only like a year or two behind me in grade school. So I ended up graduating at the time, got away from it all, and never looked back on it at all. Never set foot near it or with it ever again. Got away from all of it. Honestly, getting away from it all was the best thing ever. Although she thought I was coming back after. To this day, honestly, I do not know where she got this idea from or who gave her this idea. I did not give her this idea. She had some idea, this concept that I was going to come back after graduation and deal with her again. I don't think so. I honestly did not want to deal with her ever again. I was honestly just glad to be away from her and be done with her at that point. You know, honestly, getting away from her was like the best thing ever. The funny thing is, after I got away from her, I never seen her anywhere out in public after that, which I was glad. Oh yeah. Damn. So anyway, it's just surprising that there ain't a lot of viewers. That's fucked up. But whatever. Anyway, so coming to find out, she literally, she was just horrible to me. Oh, another time, for example, she also literally thought that one day when I was doing this job thing where the way it worked for me at the time, where I'd go to school for a couple hours. Then I'd go over to this job thing for like an hour or two. And then I would go back to school to finish the rest of the school hours during the day. Because that's just how it worked for me at the time, with the way my schedule already was. Because I was going through a lot of things then to also take care of and deal with. So the school had to make adjustments to my scheduled life because of other things that were also going on in my life. So I was able to work that all out with them. So anyway, what ended up happening was, so while I was working at work for like a couple hours, for like an hour or two one day. So I went to work one day, did the job for like an hour or two. And, so I was waiting for my ride at the time. And so in the meantime, I had to use the bathroom. So I did. And all of a sudden, she literally, while I was using the bathroom, she decides to pull up to my job looking for me. And I said to myself, okay, yeah, well, first of all, second of all, you need to wait till I'm done using the bathroom. You're looking for me to talk or whatever, or why are you even here? Maybe you should wait till I'm done in there, and then whatever it is, what? And she knew I was waiting for my ride. She knew that. And it was kind of hard because the one spot where I did the job that I had to do, it was hard to see out of what was going on because there was this huge wall that made it hard. There was a door way up by this wall, but it was in quite a weird spot to see. So if my ride had come, I would have missed it. So I was waiting outside for my ride, and she decided that she was going to have a problem with that. So then she accused me of this cockamanian story of hiding from her. Bull! I did not hide from her. I honestly do not know where she ever got that from. But then I said, well, you know what? You want to accuse me of something that I didn't do? Oh, show up again. See what I do. So she accused me of it the first time of something that I didn't do. So then a second time one day she showed up. Then I hid the second time and I was like, there, bitch. Try that now. I mind you, she is just looking at me and like, why is every time when I show up you hide from me? I said, first of all, second of all, let me stop you and correct you right there. The first time you showed up was after the fact when the time was up because I had to go to the bathroom. And you should have waited for me like a normal person, but no, you decided to be a jerk. And the second time, because you accused me of that the first time, hiding from you when I wasn't, it would make sense why I did it the second time to hide from you. And I said, so therefore, you accused me of it the first time, which you shouldn't have. So since you wanted to accuse me of something I didn't do, this time I turned around and did it to teach you a lesson. And you call yourself a teacher? Well, I call you a bad teacher. I mind you, she is just looking at me at this point, furious. I took one look at her. I said, you know what? I said, actually, you know what, you bitch? I said to her, wipe that fucking furious look off your face now. She's just looking at me and looking at me. Like I said, I had nerve to tell this bitch how far and where to. I said, there. Now, someone's got some fucking audacity around here, don't they? I mind you, she is just looking at me and looking at me. And I'm looking at her. I looked right at her. I go ahead. I dare you. Say another word. And Oh, she did not know what to say, to be honest with you. She wouldn't even say another word to me. Yeah, like I said, you know what? If you had this teacher that I had, and if you seen how she was to me, you'd all be agreeing with me right now of how horrible she really was. And the funny thing is, the sad part is, she did this all to herself. Oh, let's see. Oh, like her high designer clothes that she ended up buying herself when she got her first teaching paycheck from her job. Because other than that, she would not be able to afford those high designer clothes. That's for sure. Oh, and her statusly lifestyle. Her family owns a grocery store. Which is fine. But yet, it's not even her status, it's her family's status, not hers, that she was trying to maintain. Well, she wasn't maintaining it very well. And she was also living a double life, just like her husband. Her husbands. Oh, yeah. I think she was married twice before. Although I think she technically was married to two different men. But yeah, her first husband was living a double life. You know what? Coming to find out, so was she living a double life too. She was living a double life too. But yeah, here she would sit there and say things about her students who were probably certain way about some of her students or whatever. She would sit there and have an issue with certain things about them. But yeah, I mind you, look at what she was always doing. Yeah, that. Honestly, that's just how she was, to be honest with you. And yes, I know the podcast is very off schedule tonight, but once in a while this podcast likes to go off schedule. And yeah, that picture that you see in the thumbnail, that teacher kind of actually looks like what's in that picture. Yeah, I know. It's hideous, ain't it? That's very hideous. Then again, the name of the podcast is Blasts of Strangeness, episode 15. So, now, any of the previous episodes, you can actually watch on my YouTube channel. Now, anything from any previous episodes, does anyone have any questions about anything on that? If so, also be sure to just email the podcast and go from there. And you can ask a question in the email only. And you can email also if you want to be on the podcast. That's not a problem. Also, if you do want to be on the podcast, if you email the podcast for that, yes, you will get an email response with all the details. So there would definitely be more details within that email for the podcast, and then we'll set something up for you, a date and time, and just see how it goes. Okay. Now, I think there was something else. So, you probably, actually, also just know that if you're actually looking to start a podcast, you can actually do it for relatively, literally cheap or next to nothing, right? Yeah, I know, ain't that hard to believe? You don't really need fancy equipment. That's hard to believe. And if you do, you can actually get it for like really dirt cheap. It don't have to be very expensive to start your own podcast, by the way. I just wanted to throw that out there too. And so like I said, if you watched episode, I'm pretty sure it was episode 14, where I basically show you the setup of the podcast. That stuff was all dirt cheap to start this podcast. So you can actually start your own podcast for really dirt cheap. And that's all I wanted to say. And I will see you all in the next episode of the podcast. Blast of Strangeness. Bye.